Last month, there was the No Kings 2.0. And, there was lots of stuff being said about, these people are this and these people are that, and they're rioters and they're not protesters. They're criminals, and, it's the evil left, and they're demons, and all the other fun stuff that we often hear when people come together to protest. And they're burning the cities to the ground and all that kind of fanciful stuff. And one of the things that I heard that really sort of grabbed me was the idea that these people hate America. Right? They call it the Hate America rally. I think Mike Johnson and some other congressional reps and senators, Republicans, said this is the Hate America rally. These people are out there; they're demonstrating their hatred for their nation. It bothers me. It bothers me a great deal, and including here in Canada, when people protest, you'll often hear one side or the other saying, "Oh well, they hate the country. They hate our way of life. They're trying to destroy our way of life." There is something we all must understand, that when people protest, it's not just that they have a right to do it. It's something that every human should be willing to do. We should be willing to protest against the powers that be. We should be willing to protest when our neighbors aren't being treated fairly. We should be willing to protest when people are hungry, when people are going without health care. We should be willing to protest when governments choose to cut funding for social needs and for social assistance at the exact same time as they cut the taxes for people who can absolutely afford to pay them. It's an essential component of being human. Humans have, since the first person was given power or took power, humans have protested. We have stood up and said, no, this is not acceptable. Sometimes those protests were really awful. Then they turned into things that we would never want to see today. Sometimes the powers that be took action against the protesters because they really didn't want to hear it. But people who stand up and protest, they're not expressing hatred for nation. They're expressing love for their nation. They're expressing a love for their nation. They're protesting, they're standing, they're marching, they are carrying their flags and carrying their banners and their posters. They are standing in line against riot police or whoever else the authorities happen to send out, because their country really matters to them, because their neighbors really matter to them, because the people that live down the block really matter to them, because it matters that people are hungry and aren't being fed. It matters that people are sick and not being treated. This is what the prophets did. I love reading the prophets. I love reading the books of the prophets. I love reading the stories of the prophets. And I'm not just talking about the Bible. I love reading the words of the other prophets we have been fortunate enough to be around, those people who were willing to stand up and speak out. People like Martin Luther King Jr., people like Malcolm X, people like Tommy Douglas. You probably don't know that one. Check him out. These were great people. Susan B. Anthony, another great person. These people were willing to stand up and say, no, we must change. No, society needs more. No, government does not have the ability to do that. No, we must have more equality, more freedom. We must have more diversity. We must have more unity. These people. And, what was it? Last month we talked about Lech Walesa in Poland. There's another great example, right? They come in all shapes and sizes. They come in all colors. They come speaking all languages. They come worshiping in all kinds of different ways. The voice of the prophets is heard in the voice of the protesters. The voice of our prophets is read on the posters of those who march for freedom, those who march for their neighbor. It's not a matter of hatred. It's not a matter that they hate their country. It's a matter that they love their country. They love their country so much that they're willing to speak up against the power structure that exists, just like the prophets do. Just like the prophets who are written in our sacred scriptures do, and just like the prophets who, well, just like those prophets do who maybe we don't even know their names, like the inflatable frog. Nobody hates the country they're willing to stand up and march for. Nobody hates the country they are willing to stand up and accuse. Nobody hates the country that they're willing to stand up and challenge, and nobody hates the country that they're willing to stand up and cry out for possibilities. It's not hatred. It's love. Hatred of country hatred of country, I think, is found in those voices who deny the opportunity for change, who deny the possibility of making things better, who deny the possibility of moving in new directions for the sake of those who are suffering, those who would deny benefits, those who would deny health care, those who would deny assistance in food. That's an expression of hatred of country. Those who would deny the needs of many for the pleasure of a few. That's an expression of hatred for country. Continue to be prophetic people. Continue to protest. Continue to speak up and speak out. Continue to fight for justice and continue to fight for mercy. Continue to be someone who practices that perfect religion of taking care of the poor and not being soiled by the ways of this world. Continue to be the prophets that God created you to be. Amen.